Good afternoon, mugs of the month. Make sure you watch this video, otherwise spiders will crawl behind your eyes in your sleep and lay thousands of eggs. But today I decided we're gonna play a little bit of Sonic Dash. There's not any special reason other than I guess the fact that, Darkspine event is on. Cool. I've been wanting that for a while because it's the only other form of Sonic himself that isn't in the game yet. We've obviously got Werehog, we've got Excalibur, Supersonics there. There's maybe more, I can't actually remember. And look, you can buy him right now for £10. I think I might have that in Google Opinion or Wars Balance, but we're gonna do it the normal way, the fun way, the cool way. Who should I play it and actually decide this part? Let's do boss fights, Sonic. We don't usually do that. Where are my missions? Animals and boss fights. Ugh. I'm probably just not even gonna do the boss mission because I really don't fucking care to do that right now. Compared to the last times that I have played this game, I don't actually have any, specific topic that I wanted to be talking about. Because I think in my last upload it was, the solo Let's Play thing, and the one before that, it was about event structures or whatever. But right now we're just going to play the video game the way the developers intended for the most part. One thing I did find out during the last event where I could unlock a new character, which was Super Shadow, was that the 1,000 tokens does take longer, just straight up. Because there's quite a few people in the Hardlight Discord server that are of the opinion that, oh no, it takes about as long as it used to before. And that's true to a degree. Because if you were just playing the game normally during the 250 events, the 250 token events, that's probably a bit more easy. Yeah, it would probably take you about 40, 50, maybe an hour. And this also takes about 40, 50 minutes, maybe an hour. However, when the Super Shadow event was happening, I managed to get all 1,000 tokens in one run. And if you get every token in one run, that's the clearest indication of the shortest amount of time it can take. Because I'm not losing time to having to wait out the death animation and go back to the menu and all that stuff. I've got a genuine, honest-to-God showcase of effectively a speedrun of an event. And that took about 45 minutes, which isn't long, but people in Hardline are like, oh, that's as long as it would take before. But no, because I have gotten characters before in the 250 event token style in half an hour, slightly less even. So when you think of it that way, it's like a 50% length or time increase, and that's a lot. It takes way longer. It doesn't actually take way longer, but it was interesting to me to learn very directly that, yeah, no, it does actually take longer, even if it's by an amount that isn't actually going to come into play that much. Again, the way I would get those 30-minute runs was very playing the game in these really min-maxy time ways. Right now, let's do one. There, I swiped up because I would skip those trick sections because those added a couple seconds onto my run. Stuff like that. Those tiny little optimizations would save you upwards of that amount of time. But oh well, we're past that. So I'm just gonna do the tricks, get the character. The usual things. One thing I did think to talk about actually was very much the effective current state of the Sonic franchise, and how I feel about that. Because there's a couple things coming out that are worth looking forward to or having some opinion on. Maybe the biggest one, the one that's got I think the most amount of people interested, curious, and which will probably make the biggest impact, is Sonic movie free? We know that it's like in production. We know that there's there was that like there's rumors about them like casting new people for new roles. It's obviously up in the air whether or not we've got Jim Carrey to come back. But like we're still anticipating Sonic movie free. And outside of Sonic movie free, the Knuckles series entered like proper production recently. We got that tweet of the Knuckles hat. And it's like, yo, no way, the Knuckles hat. They by now the Knuckles hat has made so many appearances that it's not as cool an Easter egg when it does show up. But it's still a cool hat, so I'm not complaining. But yeah, like Movieverse, we've still got Shadow and we've still got Knuckles' own show to look forward to. That's cool. Sonic Prime Season 2 finally got a release date. It's, was it, like, fucking August or something? It's still a while away, but, like, hey, more of that. That was cool. It seemed to do really well. It's getting its merch, like, in stores quite soon. I'm looking forward to it. I thought Prime was pretty solid. There are things I don't like about it. Mostly it's just kind of like... I think the Shatterverse versions of most of the characters don't really feel like excuses to actually explore that original character. Like, Knuckles the Dread does not actually feel like a character from whom we're exploring Knuckles the Echidna. It just feels like, oh, here's pirates. The one exception to this rule is Tails 9. Tails 9 is fantastic. I really like him. Oops. That was a fucking mistake. But no, Tails 9 is good. That, like, explores a different angle of Tails in a way that I find fun and interesting. I guess Foreign Rose kind of also does that, but, like, it feels like a very flanderized Amy, so I don't love her. But, you know, in spite of that, I still find Prime to be fun. It's a good action show. I do actually like its depiction of Sonic, even though teaching him about, like, friends is, you know, it feels a bit... that was bad decision making, but it's fine we saved it. Yeah, Prime Sonic having to learn about, like, the value of teamwork is weird, because Sonic is... like, this is supposed to be canon, or set in the gameverse at least. They've spoke about this, but, you know, they keep making Sonic learn a lesson that he already knows. Whatever. That aside, the show's cool. I'm interested to see Shadow have an increased presence in the narrative. And then aside from Prime Season 2, there's obviously Origins Plus is set to come out in, like 3 weeks, actually. And that's like, like the obvious unfortunate thing is that Origins already came out and already wasn't very good. So we're kind of just waiting for, like, what's effectively a glorified patch that they are recharging us full price for. But, like, if the fixes are as good as we... I'm just not playing well. Alright, whatever, that was run 1. At the very least, I do think, like, with the patches coming, because we know it's obviously also just getting, like, bug fixes, glitches, and etc., etc., I do think there's very much an opportunity for Origins Plus to become the definitive way to play the classic titles. It would be... we're probably not getting the MJ soundtrack fixed. Well, fixed isn't the right word, but we're not getting it back. Which sucks, but oh well. But still, if the games work well, then it's just like, oh, it's the Taxman versions of 1, 2, CD, plus 3 Knuckles. That's really great. And you can play every character in every game, because they're adding playable Knuckles and CD. That's badass. And beyond that, playable Amy. Oh, that's new, that's exciting, that's like a cool, interesting reason that gives them value over, like, just emulating them, or, you know, that's something that even, like, your Sonic 2 Complete and your Sonic Free Air, those won't have. Granted, those have way more things to make up for it. But you know what? If you're someone that wants to play like official Sonic games in an official capacity, or you're like recommending someone to get into the Sonic franchise and you just want to point to one quick thing and they can play all the games on it, then yeah, it seems like Origins Plus is going to be the thing that offers that experience. And hey, 12 Game Gear games. Every Game Gear Sonic game. Sure. Absolutely, why the hell not, right? More games, like, that's fine. They're not remakes, they're just emulated, but who cares? Fucking shove an emulator on it, that's fine. It does bother me, honestly, that the likes of 3D Blast and Mean Bean Machine and Knuckles Chaotix will not be included on the collection. I think that is a missed opportunity to just give us a few more pieces of Sonic history. And those ones you could still just dump in like a Genesis emulator. You don't need to like redo them. But oh well, I'm still gonna get Origins Plus because I'm a big loser and I want to collect all the Sonic things. And then the last like major thing that I know to be coming out is of course Frontier still has DLC to come. If we remember correctly, the Wave 2 thing, or Roadmap Content Pack 2, whatever, it was called, like, or it had Sonic's birthday celebration in it, and, you know, that's in 3 weeks, so presumably, this content update 2 will come out by then. I don't remember what else Content Pack 2 came with. A couple challenges, maybe. This feels like something I could go look at right now, but that would just be annoying to do while I'm playing a game. But, you know, another small or possibly large pack of things to add to Frontiers. Cool. Why not? I'm not, like, super excited for that necessarily because of the fact that it's not, you know, Content Pack 3. That seems to be the big one. I mean, new story, new playable characters, like, duh, that's more worth getting hype about than a couple small, like, game updates. But then, to be fair, we don't know what Sonic's birthday is going to entail. So I still think there's, like, plenty enough reason to be excited for whatever's to come with that second Frontiers update. Of course, maybe they don't release it on, you know, Sonic's actual birthday, which would be a weird call. But we'll find out soon enough, I suppose. And then, yeah, I think that kind of concludes the, like, major things that are coming out in the Sonic series at present. Obviously, beyond that, there's also just the IDW comics are continuing to do well. They announced that, like, Sonic's Summer Adventure, I do not fucking remember the name of it at all, but it's the, you know, it's a summer thing. Sure, a couple more short anthology stories where we learn a little bit more about the characters. I'm down. And then there's also the Sonic's 900th Adventure mini-comic, which also, sure, I'm down. Just a couple more things. Saying that, I am going to stop reading the IDW comics for a bit whenever the next issue comes out, 61. 61 is set to be the end of this current arc. And so, once it's out, once I've read it, I am going to have finished that arc, and then I'm just going to take a break, because I really don't like keeping up with the IDW comics monthly. It's just like, progress is pretty slow in them in general, so I always just kind of forget, like, what's happened between the month-long wait between issues. When I... Because I stopped, or I was following the IDW comics as they came out until, like, issue 30 or something. And then I stopped until almost issue 50. And that was a lot of issues that I had to, like, backread. And that was fun. I really liked backreading them all in a row and just, like, having tons of comic content that I got to catch up on. That was, probably the most fun I've had reading the comics. So I'm kind of hoping that if I stop reading, I take a break, give it a couple months or maybe even years, and then I've got like a sizable backlog of comic to catch up to. That will be the most fun thing for me, and I will start to like the comics more, um, because they are just more fun when you consume them as like a nice big story instead of just piece by piece once every month. Like I'm used to waiting for content to come out, obviously, but I don't know. I think it's just the pacing for the comic makes it hard to deal with. Um, and that is now the extent of the Sonic things that I am able to talk about. Um, Maybe Sonic the Comic Con was supposed to happen this month, or already did, or that was last one. I don't know. That was a comic, or that was a convention for the Fleetway comic that happened down in England, and I considered going, even though I haven't read Sonic the Comic. And I didn't go because train tickets down to England are expensive as hell. Um, but that would have been fun, neat little thing, even if I didn't, relate to anyone because I've only read like 20 issues, which is not a lot. Actually, I guess it's about 10% of the comic, but so that's still not a lot. I shouldn't have done this. Now my voice is just tired because I'm having to keep talking for this whole time. And what we're 16 minutes in. We're at about not even 300 tokens. That's fine. I'll see how long I can manage. What else can I talk about? I guess I could talk about Zelda. I could talk about Tears of the Kingdom, because since that came out, that has very much been my life to a degree. Um, I have like 130 hours in it or something, um, which, you know, isn't as many as some people, but it's also quite a bit more than some other people. Um, so I'll take it. In the first place, it's not a competition, but hey. Um, I have, like, I would describe my, like, day one with the game effectively as, not negative at all, but, like, early on, before the game has really grabbed you, I think it's very, like, it feels too similar to Breath of the Wild to start with, um, because you wake up in your effective Great Plateau, um, you quickly learn, oh, here's your substitute for shrines, here's your substitute for spirit orbs, um, you can still swap them at the same goddess statues, um, and then you go down to proper Hyrule once you've done the tutorial, and it's like, and lastly, here's your, you've got the Puripad now, that's your substitute for the Sheikah Slate, um, although obviously the Sheikah Slate runes have been replaced with your new arm, um, which, feels like, oh, here's this game's version of the runes, and yeah. Um, and you also, aside from the Puripad, you get to quickly see this game's substitute for towers. Um, and you get told to investigate the regional phenomena. Oh, that's this game's version of the visit every area and do a Divine Beast. Um, like, the day one experience for me was kind of just seeing the game establish the things that are pretty much identical to Breath of the Wild. Um, and in that regard, I think day one felt less like glorified DLC, which is what some people made it out to be, and more like kind of a remix, I guess, if that's a fitting word for it. Like, oh, Breath of the Wild, but these are your shrines, and these are your blah blah blah. Um, and that was my day one. But I think day two, it might not have literally been day two, I can't actually remember my timeline. But kind of, the more I played the game, the more it thoroughly set itself apart from Breath of the Wild. It does so in a lot of small ways, like the way weapon durability has been addressed. It's still the same system, but the fact that your weapons in general are not that strong, but they have increased strength and durability by way of the fusion system, kind of changes your approach to things a lot. like, suddenly you want to fight monsters because monsters drop their horns, and their horns are how you're going to get your weapons to do somewhat decent damage. So you're given incentive to actually engage with the combat system and to engage with the fusion system. And it does that in like one clean motion. Um, and that's fun. That's really cool. I find that to be like a significant addition that changes my approach to the game. And it also obviously gives you a lot of relevant customization choices because, of course, like, you can equip maybe a gem or something, and now you can create a magic elemental weapon on the fly. That's really cool. And they also, for that matter, added water as an elemental type of thing. You can get opal scepters and put an opal on top of your things, and there it will through water. And water is like important and good at cleaning up a lot of things and doing like solid damage and getting. It's effective on particular type of enemies. It's just a cool addition. But maybe instead of putting like a gem on your weapon, you want to put a horn. That's just a linear damage upgrade if it's like a any type of horn. But different horns have different properties. And there are some horns that are like treated as sharp weapons, cutting weapons. Those are good for things like cutting down trees, which is important because now the trees can attack you. Better be careful. Or you get weapons that are blunt, and those are good for like breaking rocks and shit. And that's relevant because there are all sorts of cave systems and mines and wells, and those have a lot of rocks that you want to break because you don't have bombs anymore. Except actually, I was lying, you do have bombs now, it's just they're bomb flowers from older Zelda games, and they're a limited resource that you can find. You'll probably have quite enough of them, but like, if you're in a cave and you've got a choice between throw my bombs to break a wall, or put this rock on the end of my sword and break the wall that way, you're probably going to do the latter because you'll value your bombs a bit more for combat experiences. That's just a moment to moment piece of decision making that the game added that I find to be really like enticing and interesting. Obviously, there's also the fact that materials in general are made so much more useful by the fact that you can just throw them at any time. Suddenly, most things in your inventory have value because you can attach them to everything, or you can throw them whenever you want, and they have actual, like, tangible benefits that aren't just, like, I guess, strange little considerations. Monster parts aren't worth anything in Breath of the Wild other than, like, upgrading things. But in Tears of the Kingdom, they're for combat, you know? Like, what were you gonna do with all those Keese eyeballs that you picked up in Breath of the Wild? Fuck all. But in Tears of the Kingdom, well, now your arrows are homing in on things. That's really good. That comes in handy in quite a lot of different combat encounters, especially against enemies that can fly, of which there are quite a couple. I particularly love using them against Gleeok, because his fucking heads fly around so much, and he's really hard to get a hit on without at least, doing bullet time. So, Keese eyeballs, that's a way to make my attacks hit. On that note, Gleeoks are in the game, and in general, a lot more different types of boss monsters exist in the game and around the world. Sky, ground, and depths. They're fun. They're good challenges. I really like Gleeok in particular. They're fucking hard as hell. Like, I'll put it this way. I have done the entire main story. I have done every single shrine. I am, like, I'm not, I guess, literally maxed out, but I am pretty much maxed out. I mean, the armor I wear is, like, level 4 from Fairy Fountains. I am going into Gleeok fights fully prepared, and they're so fucking hard. They can still, like, just wreck your day because of how powerful they are. And that's awesome. That's really exciting. Breath of the Wild is very easy to gamify, to master every system in a way that will make you basically immortal. Tears of the Kingdom doesn't really have that to the same degree. It's there, I'm not going to pretend it isn't, but like, it's a lot more possible to just stay even with the game and have to not just be completely like destroying everything. I like it a lot. Also, I mentioned the depths earlier. It is fucking amazing that they doubled the size of the map. They added a full new map the size of Overworld Hyrule to the game and didn't even have it in the marketing materials once. The marketing always focused on the Sky Islands, and so we just didn't ever learn about the depths until we played the game. And then it's like, oh, there is a world the size of the ground that is below the ground, and which looks super cool. That was awesome. um, I do think the depths has some like weaknesses. It's a bit homogenous visually. It's pretty much the same aesthetic everywhere, and you know, you can only really find like Zonai charges, Sheikah, or no, Yiga Clan schematics, and the various amiibo rewards in the first game, plus Zonai and mines. You know, you can find quite a bit in the depths. But it would be cool if there were more like people in the depths somehow. I know that's not like that. Like, it doesn't make that much sense that that could be the case. But you know, it would be cool. But no, I still like the depths a lot. They're really cool looking. It's nice that the amiibo rewards from Breath of the Wild are just in the game now. The Armor of the Wild can also be found in the depths, so if you want your authentic, like, Breath of the Wild series Link in green armor, you can do that still. That's not the Shrine reward anymore. The All Shrine reward is something very different, which I won't spoil, but which is very, very cool and has really interesting lore implications, which is like a crazy thing to be able to say about just a reward for doing every shrine, but hey, fuck it, I'm about it. Yeah, I did find the Sky Islands to be, like, somewhat disappointing. I think whatever the Great Sky Islands that you start on are called, they might actually just be called Great Sky Islands. You know, the flying Great Plateau, effectively. They're great. They're really pretty. They've got a lot of, like, variety. They teach you about, like, the same game mechanics in pretty much the same way that the Great Plateau does, but it's cool. It's really super different. Because they showed that part off in the Aonuma gameplay teaser, I kind of thought that the Sky Islands would offer, like, a lot more map size than they ended up offering, I guess. Like, I was under the impression that I didn't even think the island he was on was, like, Tutorial Island, you know? I thought, oh, there are going to be tons of giant sky land masses, and it will effectively be, like... Oh, fuck, I didn't see that at all. I mean, yeah, I just expected them to be bigger. I expected them to be not... I didn't think there would be that many Sky Islands, but I thought they would all be humongous. But it's not actually really like that in reality. Most of the Sky Islands are kind of just... Was that a boss? Oh, I can't actually see if the terrain's been generated yet. I don't think... Okay, no, we're fine. Anyway, yeah, I wanted the Sky Islands to be quite bigger. But in actuality, they're all pretty small in size, and you can cross most of them in, like, a couple seconds. And not just that, but the Sky Islands very much... They are copy-pasted, like, from one another constantly. You'll very quickly learn the template, and you're able to just, even on the map screen, see, like, oh, these are the same type of islands in the same type of shapes and the same types of things on them, like all the time, huh? Um, and that was pretty disappointing. Um, even sky islands that seem unique, like oh, there's a literal giant floating ball or cube. Um, fuck, I died. Um, it'll turn out that no, there's three of those. Oh, I kind of want to double my rings here. Yeah, sure, I'll make you guys watch an ad. Um, drag to move, cool. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's slightly disappointing to me that the Sky Islands share such a like template, I guess, and that you can learn how all of them work really quickly. Um, they're still fun. They're still interesting. Visually, I adore them, and more than even that, I really, really like how many of them seem almost impossible to actually reach. Like, they're obviously not, but there are so many sky islands that don't actually have a clear path to them, where it's just kind of like, figure it out, lol. Um, and I love that. I love being told to engage with the game's systems in that way, to create Ultra Hand vehicles that get me, like, really high into the sky. Um, that's just cool. It's a really good feeling, like seeing an island that's so far away that it doesn't even seem possible to reach it. Um, and then you build the most scuffed zonite creation imaginable. Um, and you do a whole bunch of paragliding. Your stamina's running low, and then you reach that island that you thought there's no way I can reach that yet. But you could. And then who knows what's going to be on that island? Maybe it's King Gleok or something. I I like it a lot. That's just a cool thing that encourages you to play with the game systems. I didn't even talk about Ultra Hand yet, I don't think. Ultra Hand is unbelievable. Like, as a game mechanic, the sheer amount of possibilities it opens up is... It's hard to even fathom that exists in a game. Ultra Hand is a mechanic that could carry a game on its own. It's that, like, involved. But it's also in Tears of the Kingdom, which has so many other mechanics present all at once. And it just fits in. And it manages to do that without, like, making the game weird or having strange physics problems or something. There's just so many things you can put together in such strange and interesting ways. The amount of creations that people have made are... It's insane. It absolutely, like, puts your creativity to a test in really fun and interesting ways. Plus, there are a lot of shrines that just, like, effectively put you in rooms with objects or the opportunity to create objects, and then you just solve the puzzle with Ultra Hand in pretty much any way you so desire. I the other day I watched there's like a puzzle where you're expected to... I mean, I shouldn't even say you're expected to, because the game encourages so many solutions that it never even feels like there's a developer intended solution. But you're put in a shrine that has a ton of different just logs everywhere, and you're supposed to use the logs to traverse the shrine. And you end up in the final room. You've just got like a huge chasm of rapid flowing water. And you've got all these logs. How are you going to use them to cross? I've seen some people build insanely long bridges just to walk across. That works. I personally, I think I used the logs and fans and just made a little mini raft that kind of was able to cross the thing on its own. That worked well for me. I saw somebody build a massive tower of logs and use ascend to get to the top of that tower, and then they just jumped and skydived over the pit. And that's how they got to the end of the shrine. And it's like, Breath of the Wild already encouraged that type of player freedom, but Tears of the Kingdom just has mechanics that push that even further. There are so so many possible approaches to every given puzzle that I just love it, you know? Um, Common criticism of Breath of the Wild is that you get all your tools at the start, and then the game can't build any puzzles more complicated than that. Um, I appreciate Tears of the Kingdom doesn't necessarily fix that, but I think there's so much more potential in the tools they give you that the puzzles still get to develop in really interesting ways. Um, Also, I say it doesn't really address that, but it kind of does because of the fact that, like, the way you approach the actual dungeons in this game is usually defined by the sage that's with you. Um, the champion descendants from the past games, except for Teba, he's been replaced by Tulin. But they go into the dungeons with you, and they've got abilities that are going to help you solve it. They've got unique things that are situational, but which still come in handy. And it's cool. It's really cool. Um, it makes the dungeons feel different from one another. And it especially makes their bosses feel different from one another because fuck's sake that this the blights in Breath of the Wild are so like identical in every way, other than Thunderblight being way harder than the rest of them. Um, but no, they addressed that all of these bosses are significantly different visually and in terms of gameplay, and they all take place in dungeons that are different in terms of visuals and to a degree gameplay. Um, it's to a degree because you are still effectively finding X terminals, but you know the the dungeons themselves tend to be less linear and larger in scope than they were in Breath of the Wild, and beyond that, they're aesthetically different, so that goes a long way. Um, I especially adored the Fire Temple. A lot of the puzzle solving in the Fire Temple is just navigation. How are you actually going to get around this humongous place? And it's awesome. And visually, it's so good as well. And the music is fucking incredible, man. Um, I wish I wish Yunobo wasn't so shit a character, because that's the one thing holding the Fire Temple back is that you've got fucking Yunobo with you. Um, because Tulin for the Wind Temple, he ends up being pretty fun, and everyone loves Sidon. Riju is Riju is as nothing as she was before. She is perfectly fine, inoffensive, very much just there. Um, yeah, swag. I don't know. I liked the dungeons a lot in this game, and it's super cool to me. Without getting into exact specifics, because I guess that would be spoilers. Um, Once you've done what seems to be all four of the dungeons, um, in Breath of the Wild, that's you just now. Okay, go take on Ganon now. But in Tears of the Kingdom, the main story continues for a while. There's a lot more progression to be done after just doing the like four regional phenomena. The game keeps going for quite a while. Um, and I love that. That's one of those things that Breath of the Wild did away with as a Zelda convention, but it was a convention that they had for a reason and that worked really well, and that Breath of the Wild shouldn't have gotten rid of. And Tears of the Kingdom brings it back, and it's sick as fuck, and I really, really like it. Yeah, swag. Um, Also, without spoiling this point, the final boss is amazing. I really, really, really love the final boss. It's a pretty hard challenge that the game still preps you for. And then the final phase is one that's well foreshadowed if you've been paying attention to the story and doing the memories and stuff. And it's fucking cool. It's an insanely awesome spectacle. It's gameplay wise, I'll admit it's not much of an improvement from Dark Beast Ganon. But it's still an improvement. It still utilizes mechanics that are central to the game compared to horseback archery. That was a bit of a weird one, Dark Base Cannon. Um, and it's just a spectacle. Let's hell. It's fucking incredible. Um, in general, the fact that the story is longer, there are more present characters, and the fact that like the game has memory equivalents, but they're taking place like in a roundabout way in the present day. It's not just all the story happened in the past and you're only just learning about what already happened. No, it's like you're an active participant that's changing the direction of the narrative. Um and it's cool. It's quite an emotional story. It does a lot for most of the characters involved. Um Breath of the Wild Zelda is like a solid character to a degree anyway, but Tears of the Kingdom really enhances her in like a huge way. And then Ganondorf is it. I don't want to say it's his best depiction because of the fact that Ganondorf always is pretty incredible and steals the show in most games he's in. Um, but man, I really like him in Tears of the Kingdom. He's so fun. He's so hammy. He's so deliciously evil and competent. Um, he's just a treasure. Um, I wasn't sure how I felt about the voice Matt Mercer did for him. I kind of expect my Ganondorf to find slightly more sinister instead of more cool. But no, it grew on me. I still like it. Um, it's a good performance for sure. In general, the voice acting's also a step up from Breath of the Wild. There's a lot less like awkward line reads and a lot more actually emotive deliveries. Um, like Zelda herself was very much the weakest link, ironically, of Breath of the Wild. Oh fuck, I wasn't in the right lane there. Um, but she sounds pretty great now. It's especially good because obviously Age of Calamity existed too, and that was an opportunity for her actress to just get more familiar, more comfortable with the role, have a bit more experience doing that type of voice. Um, I don't know who the actress is, but I don't think she's actually British. um, so I think there's a degree to which her performance in Breath of the Wild is basically just her having to force herself to get comfortable with the accent. Um, I could be wrong, um, but I don't think I am. Um, but by Tears of the Kingdom and having had Age of Calamity under her belt, she's she's better at it. She sounds more comfortable, more confident, more emotive in the role. It works well. Um, it's just like it really is impressive that through changes small and large, Nintendo, who absolutely they like kind of upended the entire game industry with how good Breath of the Wild was, um, and every so many games would pivot to taking clear, direct, transparent influence from Breath of the Wild, which is fine, obviously. Like, game developers learn from other game developers. It's how we keep getting games that are cool and interesting. But Breath of the Wild was so big, significant, it mattered so much. And it seemed so crazy to think, how did they actually follow this up? And yeah, they followed it up so well that they made a game as significant as Breath of the Wild. It just looks like a tech demo. um, they surpassed it so deeply, so thoroughly, in so many ways that, like, yeah, it's just amazing. It's just absolutely incredible what they were able to achieve. Right, we got our. I hope I don't lose my rings because of that. I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but, like, you know. Alright, let's do my screenshot. Here's Darkspine. Whoa, whoa. Cool. Yeah. I'd fully upgrade him, but I don't want to. What's the fucking ads? Does he have? Yeah, okay, he does have max dash, I think. Wait, does? Oh wait, no. Oh no, he doesn't. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought for a minute that he might have as much dash as Supersonic did. and regular Sonic. But no, he doesn't. But he's got fine stats. His Magnet lasts fucking forever, which is cool. Plus shield. Is that the best head start in the game? Not that head start matters in the slightest, but I think that's the best head start in the game. I can't be fucked actually checking everyone. But yeah, well, we did it. We got the new character. And it only took like 45 minutes or something. Cool. I managed to talk for 45 minutes straight. That's awesome. Super proud of myself. Can't wait for this video to upload, and then I just have to sit and re-listen to myself. Swag. I hope Dragon Hunter Lancelot comes out soon, because he got revealed with, like, the teaser visual they put him in had him plus a logo for Speed Battle and Dash Plus. But you know, means he'll come here eventually. But like after Super Shadow, they just recapped regular Lancelot instead of doing the new Lancelot. And then after Lancelot, they gave us Dark Spine Sonic, which is cool, and I'm grateful that he's finally in Dash. But you know, they announced this cool new Lancelot for him, and they didn't give it to us yet. That's kind of sad. As a side note, because I don't know when else I'll get the chance to talk about this, other than if it actually happens, I guess. Also, whenever Lancelot happens, I can talk about it then. But, you know, Dragon Hunter Lancelot uses Lancelot's ultimate weapon from Black Knight, because Black Knight has a weapon crafting system, and each knight, they've obviously got their starting swords. Those are the ones that they use in this game as well. 1, 2, fucking 3. Yeah, there you go. They all have them in their render. Those are their first swords, but they all get final swords as well. And, their final sword has their, like, actual character head or color palette in them in some way. And yeah, Dragon Hunter Lancelot uses that sword. So my kind of very fanfiction-y hope is that, if Dragon Hunter Lancelot is effectively to be taken as like a super version of Lancelot, that's why he's got the final sword, then I really hope that Gawain and Percival can get something like that, because they've also got, you know, final versions of their swords, so you can give them those, and then just give them like a cool new armor design, and then, you know, that would just be cool. The really fanfiction-y perception is if they, like, you could have Excalibur Sonic, Dragon Hunter Lancelot, and then whatever Percival and Gawain get. And then you could just draw, like, badass fan art of all 4 of them in their, like, ultimate forms. That would be awesome. Swag. You know, if they really want it to be cool, they should add Lamorak and Galahad to the game, obviously. That would just be sick. It would be nice to see them exit Black Knight multiplayer hell. But if they really, really want it to be sick, they could design original weapons and final forms for Lamorak and Galahad, and then we'd have, like, the whole squad of, like, Black Knight super form badass adjacents. It would be so cool. That's me, like, I don't usually do that level of, like, oh, wouldn't this what if scenario be badass, but you know, it would be. Anyway, yeah, I think that's everything all said or done. So I am going to stop recording now. Thanks for watching Mugcard. If you made it to the end of the video, then well done. Spiders will not crawl inside of your eyeballs tonight. Proud of you. Good night. Bye.